First thing we're going to talk about are cover letters. As with any good cover letter, you want to set yourself apart. You want to show that you have personalized your application and that you're passionate about this specific job and company. So really what this means is staying away from the standard form letter, the to whom it may concern cover letter, and instead find out who the contact is at the company you're applying to. Send your cover letter and resume directly to that person. Next, in your cover letter, you want to include details about the opportunity, such as the title of the position, where you found the posting, and what other information you can find out about it. Next, you want to research the company. You want to look at their website, read about their mission, news at the company, and then you want to reference this information in your cover letter. With employers that I talk to every day that are receiving so many cover letters and resumes, it's these type of little things that really stand out to them, showing them that the job seeker is really interested in that position and their company. So this will help you get noticed. The next tip is to sell yourself. Again, with a good cover letter, you want to be able to sell yourself as the best position or best person for this position. You want to explain why your skills and background are a perfect match for the company and for the job, and be very specific. And also with telecommuting jobs, you want to tie in your skills and past experience and how that's going to benefit you in the telecommuting role. For example, being self-disciplined, being focused, being able to work on your own. And you also want to market yourself as the best candidate for the job. And don't be shy. Again, tell the employer why they should hire you. Basically, the bottom line of your cover letter is leave them wanting to know more about you, and that they'll give you a call and discuss the position further. Next tip on a cover letter is you want to protect your personal information. So your contact information should be kept to a minimum at this stage of the game. Include only your name, phone number, and or email address. A tip we have is not to provide your mailing address until you feel comfortable with the company and that you feel the company is legitimate. Really not information they need up front to contact you. Most employers are contacting people by either their email address or their phone. Another good tip for cover letters of what not to include: never include a Social Security number, driver's license, bank account, or credit card numbers. Again, that's not something a legitimate employer would need to know in that process. And again, if it's an employer is asking for that, that's really going to be a red flag to you because they wouldn't need that information up front. So again, these are just a few tips to help you stand out from the crowd when creating a cover letter for a telecommuting position. Next, I've got a few tips for resumes, things to keep in mind when you are out applying for work at home and telecommuting jobs. The first resume tip is to highlight your strongest skill set. So again, highlight the top 3 or 4 skills that you possess. A telecommuting resume should provide a short bulleted list of the top 3 or 4 skills you have that can relate to a telecommuting role. Again, things you want to highlight are being self-disciplined, being able to work with little or no supervision or little direction. You want to keep it clear, direct, and to the point. And you also want to tie in ways that these skills will benefit you in the job. Again, if you have experience working remotely, and that's the kind of job you want to find, be sure to highlight that in your resume. The next tip is to focus on your accomplishments. Again, you want to emphasize tangible goals that you've accomplished instead of just describing tasks. So for example, saying on your resume, accomplished a 97% satisfaction rating, 15% above the company average, or grew the client base by 50% in the first year by targeting a new demographic of potential users. Again, what this is doing is showing what you did that was successful and not just the tasks that you performed on your job. Next on the resume tips is highlighting your educational and your career experience. For career experience, you really want to prioritize your most related experience first and include a brief description and your accomplishments. Next, you want to highlight any telecommuting experience or skills that demonstrate that you are highly organized, self-motivated, and that you have the ability to manage multiple tasks. Again, these are all very important skills if you want to find a job where you can work from home and be a telecommuter. And then lastly, for education, you want to include your highest level of education and any specialized coursework completed. Again, that would be any college degrees or specialized training or classes that you had taken that would relate to the position you're applying for. The last tip for resumes, again, pretty basic stuff, but the format, grammar, and spelling, always good to brush up on. When you're applying for a telecommuting job, you're generally asked to email or upload your resume electronically. A very important point with this is to always use a left alignment in your resumes so that everything is starting on the left-hand side of the page instead of centered. This way it's going to come through electronically to the employer, all left aligned, and lines won't be jumbled. Also, you want to save your resume as a .doc, a .doc file, or a .txt file. Try to stay away from saving it as a .docx, which is a Vista program. Only people that have Vista would be able to open it if it has the X on the end, so you want to make sure it's just a .doc or a .text file. And then always just a basic reminder to do spell check and a grammar check of your resume. Next, we'll talk about precautions to take and questions to ask when you're looking for an online or a work-at-home job. The number one recommendation we have is, again, protect your Social Security number when you're looking for a work-at-home position. Never send your Social Security number to anyone via instant message, email, or an unsecured form on a website. There's just too many chances that it could fall into the wrong hands. Also, you only want to provide a Social Security number after you've accepted a job and you are comfortable with the company and that they need this for a requirement on your tax forms. Any other reason, probably not legitimate, and you'd want to stay away from it. So really, only once you've accepted a position and you need it for the tax form purposes. The next tip we have is to be cautious about how you disseminate your contact information and work history, kind of as we talked about before. You want to limit your contact information when you are looking for a job online. Again, just your name, phone number, or email in correspondence, no need for a home address. Also, it's a good idea to remove work history specifics. For example, if you were employed at a company from June of 2006 to July of 2008, it's perfectly acceptable to say you were employed there from 2006 to 2008, just to be a little bit more general. And also, again, as we've talked about, never include unique identity information on your correspondence with a company. Again, this would be your Social Security number or driver's license number, bank account number. Again, this should be a red flag to you if a company is asking for it up front. Next, a good question to ask is the hiring company's name in the job listing? Very important. If the name is in the job listing, you are able to do research on the company. You can look them up on the web. You can find out where they're based, what kind of business it is, read company information, that kind of thing. You can also check the Better Business Bureau website. Another website we recommend is scambusters.com. Always great to type in a company name there, and it'll bring up if there have been any complaints against that company, and you can basically do your own research on the company. Another tip is to type in the company name into Google and then add the word scam behind the company name and see if anything comes up on that company when you do a search of Google. So really the bottom line with company name in a website or company name in a job listing is that if the company name isn't listed, it's probably best to move on from that position and not apply. It's better to err on the side of caution than to send your information to a potential scammer and to someone that you don't know where it's going. Next, another question to ask is, do you need to pay to get the job? Recommendation we give is never to pay for the opportunity to interview or to train for a job. Again, if it's a legitimate job, it should be offering you an hourly rate, a salary, a commission. The exception to keep in mind for telecommuting is that you may be required to supply your own basic equipment you need to do the job, say a computer, a cell phone, especially if you're working as a freelancer or a contract worker. And lastly, again, this is kind of a common sense question to ask, but does the job listing sound too good to be true? Again, things to think about. Any job listing that claims that you can make a significant amount of money doing a minimal amount of work should raise a big red warning flag. Probably, if it sounds too good to be true, most likely it is. And also when you're looking at salaries and hourly wages for online jobs, there's going to be a little bit of fluctuation, maybe higher or lower, but in most cases the pay will be very similar to an on-site job. So if you see something that